shaped them, it's worth asking a simple question. What is a locomotive? A locomotive is a self-propelled railway vehicle designed to move trains along railroad tracks, unlike passenger coaches or freight cars, which are built to carry people or cargo. A locomotive's primary purpose is to provide the power needed to pull or push the train. In many ways, it serves as the heart of the railroad, converting energy into motion and allowing rail transportation to function. The earliest successful locomotives appeared in the early 19th century during the Industrial Revolution. These machines were powered by steam, using coal, wood, or other fuels to heat water inside the boiler. The resulting steam created pressure that drove pistons connected to the locomotive's wheels, producing movement. Steam locomotives quickly transformed transportation by allowing goods and passengers to travel farther and faster than ever before. As technology advanced, new forms of locomotive power emerged. Diesel-electric locomotives became widespread during the 20th century. Rather than driving with the wheels directly, a diesel engine powers a generator or alternator that supplies electricity to traction motors mounted on the axles. This design offers greater efficiency, reliability, and power. Now the main question is, how did railroads help shape the United States? The history of railroads differs country to country, but the United States' few technologies have had greater impact on the nation's development. Although the first successful steam locomotives were developed in Great Britain during the early 19th century, Americans quickly recognized their potential. What began as a new method of transportation evolved into one of the most important and quickly growing industries in American history, helping transform the United States economically, geographically, and socially. The American railroad industry began during the 1820s. In 1827, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad was chartered to improve transportation between the eastern seaboard and the growing interior of the country. During the following decades, railroads expanded steadily across the nation. Steam locomotives provided capable of moving people and freight faster and more reliably than wagons traveling over rough roads or goods transported by canals alone. Before railroads, transportation was often slow, expensive, and limited by geography. Rivers and canals provided more important routes, but many communities remained isolated from major markets. Moving agricultural products, raw materials, and manufactured goods over long distances could take days or even weeks. Railroads changed the situation dramatically. As tracks spread across the country, transportation became faster and more dependable, and capable of handling larger quantities of cargo. Farmers gained access to distant markets, manufacturers obtained raw materials more efficiently, and businesses could contribute products across wider regions than ever before. The railroad industry played a central role in the economic growth of the United States during the 19th century. Railroads connected agricultural regions with industrial centers and linked producers with consumers across vast distances. Wheat from the Midwest, coal from Pennsylvania, lumber from forests, cattle from the Great Plains, and manufactured goods from industrial cities could all be transported more efficiently through the expanding rail network. Railroads also stimulated the growth of other industries. The construction of tracks, bridges, stations, and rail yards required enormous quantities of steel, lumber, timber, and coal. Demand from railroad companies helped support the expansion of mining, steel production, engineering, and manufacturing. As railroads grew, they became one of the largest employers in the nation, providing jobs for engineers, conductors, mechanics, station workers, track crews, and countless others. The influence of railroads extended far beyond economics. Communities frequently developed along railroad routes, and access to rail transportation often determined whether a town could grow in terms of economics and culture. Many settlements in the American West grew rapidly after gaining railroad connections. In some cases, railroads influenced the location of an entirely new community and commercial centers. One of the most significant milestones in railroad history occurred in 1869 with the completion of the first transcontinental railroad. For the first time, rail travel connected the eastern and western portions of the United States through a continuous rail link. This achievement reduced travel times across the continent from months to days and strengthened economic ties between distant regions of the country. Railroads also helped create a more connected national economy. Goods, information, and people could move across greater distances with increasing speed. Standardized railroad time zones introduced during the 19th century improved scheduling and eventually influenced the way time was organized throughout the United States. By the late 19th century and early 20th centuries, railroads had become one of the most important foundations of the industrial growth in America. Freight trains carried raw materials needed by factories and transported finished products to expanding domestic markets. Passenger trains connected cities, encouraged migration, and made travel more accessible for millions of Americans. As technology improved, locomotives became bigger and larger, more powerful and more efficient. These advances allow railroads to move heavier loads over longer distances, further strengthening the role in commerce and transportation. Railroads remained the most dominant form of long-distance land transportation until the rise of automobiles, trucks, and commercial aviation during the 20th century. The legacy of the railroad remains visible across America today. Most modern cities, transportation corridors, and industrial centers developed because of railroad connections established more than a century ago. Railroads helped unify a vast nation, supported economic growth, encouraged western expansion, and connected communities that had once been separated by great distances. More than just a transportation system, the railroad helped define the United States, and it accelerated its industrialization, expanded trade, and linked regions of the country together, and contributed to the development of a national economy. The story of the railroad is therefore not only a part of the history, it is what makes America what it is today. The history of the United States cannot be told without the story of the railroad. Few industries have shaped the nation as profoundly, both economically and socially, as rail transportation. Railroads connected distant communities, fueled industrial growth, opened new markets, and helped transform a young nation into a global economic power. Their influence can still be seen today in the movement of goods, the growth of cities, and the transportation networks that connect the entire country. Yet the story of the American railroading is also a story of places, regions, and states whose contributors helped build the nation itself. In 1846, a new railroad company was established with a goal that many believed would be difficult, if not impossible, to achieve. Its mission was to create a reliable transportation route connecting Philadelphia with Pittsburgh and growing markets beyond the Appalachian Mountains. This company was the Pennsylvania Railroad. What began as a regional transportation venture would eventually become one of the largest and most influential corporations in the world. More importantly, it would help reshape American economy, transform transportation, and play a critical role in the rise of the United States as an industrial power. To understand the importance of Pennsylvania Railroad, one must first understand the challenges facing America during the mid-19th century. The United States was expanding rapidly, new settlements were appearing across the Midwest, industries were growing in the East, and the demand of faster transportation was increasing. Yet, moving goods across long distances remained slow and expensive. Wagons struggled over rough roads, rivers did not reach every destination, canals helped connect some regions, but they were limited by geography, weather, and seasonal conditions. Pennsylvania presented as an especially difficult challenge. The state was divided by the rugged Allegheny Mountains, a formidable natural barriers separating the eastern cities from the western markets. While Philadelphia served as a major center for commerce and trade, Pittsburgh was an emerging industrial city rich in coal, iron, and manufacturing potential. Connecting these two regions would require one of the most ambitious transportation projects of its era. The Pennsylvania Railroad was created to meet that challenge. As construction progressed and tracks expanded across the Commonwealth, the railroad quickly demonstrated its value. Travel times had once required days or weeks could be measured in hours. Freight moved more efficiently than ever before. Business gained access to larger markets and communities that had once been so isolated and became rapidly connected with the expanding transportation network. For farmers, the railroad opened entirely new opportunities. Agricultural products could be shipped farther and sold to larger populations. Markets had once been distant and now became accessible. For manufacturers, the railroad provided a dependable means of transportation of both raw materials and finished goods. Factories could expand production, knowing their products could reach customers throughout the nation. The railroading was doing more than just moving freight. It was helping create a national economy. As the network expanded westward, Pennsylvania became a crucial link between the Atlantic seaboard and the developing Midwest. Cities such as Chicago, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and St. Louis benefited from the improved connections to the eastern markets. The movement of goods became faster, cheaper, and more predictable. Coal from Pennsylvania mines could reach distant factories. Agriculture products from Midwestern farms could be transported eastward. Manufactured goods produced in eastern cities would distribute across the western communities. The railroad was creating its influence soon would extend beyond commerce. During the American Civil War, railroads became essential tools of military logistics. The ability to move troops, equipment, food, and supplies quickly were often determined by the success of the military operations. The Pennsylvania Railroad played a critical role in supporting the Union war effort. Thousands of soldiers traveled on its lines, military supplies moved across its network, industrial products necessary for the war effort reached their destinations through rail transportation. The Civil War demonstrated a reality that would shape the future of transportation. Railroads became a strategic national asset. Following the war, the United States entered a period of extraordinary industrial growth. Few regions benefited more from the transformation than Pennsylvania. The state's vast reserves of coal powered factories, locomotives, and homes throughout the country. Iron production expanded rapidly, eventually giving the rise to the world's most important steel industries. The Pennsylvania Railroad became deeply intertwined with this industrial revolution. Coal moved from mines to factories. Iron ore traveled to steel mills. Finished steel products were transported to construction sites, ports, and manufacturing centers. Without efficient transportation, industrial growth on this scale would have been impossible. Pittsburgh emerged as one of the world's leading industrial cities. Its steel would help build bridges, railroads, factories, skyscrapers, and ships throughout the nation. The Pennsylvania Railroad ensured these materials could reach these places where they were needed most. The growth of cities were another consequence of the railroad's success. Communities located along major rail routes often experienced rapid development. Businesses opened near stations. Warehouses, factories, and commercial districts emerged around the rail yards. New jobs attracted workers and their families. Entire towns grew because the railroad passed through them. The railroad was simply not connecting cities. It was helping them grow. As the 19th century progressed, the Pennsylvania Railroad continued expanding. It absorbed smaller railroads, extended its reach into additional states, and developed an extensive transportation network stretching across eastern United States. Its scale became remarkable. By the late 19th century, the company operated more than 1,000 miles of track, maintained enormous maintenance facilities, and employed tens of thousands of workers. It became one of the largest corporations on earth. The company's influence extended beyond transportation itself. The Pennsylvania Railroad became a pioneer in engineering, management, and operational efficiency. Its leaders developed sophisticated systems for scheduling trains, managing employees, maintaining equipment, and coordinating traffic across vast distances. In an era before computers, managing such large organization required innovation, planning, and coordination on an unpredictable scale. The railroad became known for the technological advancement. Engineers constantly sought ways to improve safety, efficiency, and reliability. Bridges were strengthened, tracks were improved, locomotives became more powerful. Signaling systems evolved to reduce accidents and increase operational efficiency. Many of these innovations influenced railroad operations throughout North America. As a result, the Pennsylvania Railroad earned the most prestigious nickname, the Standard Railroad of the World. It was a title that reflected both its size and its reputation for excellence. A locomotive is more than just a machine that pulls trains. It's a symbol of innovation, progress, and the determination to connect people and places across vast distances. When the first locomotives began to move across America's rail lines, they did more than just transport passengers and freight. They reshaped the very rhythm of the nation. Towns grew along the tracks, industries found new ways to expand, and goods could move faster and farther than ever before. In many ways, the locomotive became the engine of a growing American economy, driving forward a country that was rapidly defining its identity. Among the most iconic contributors to the transformation was the Pennsylvania Railroad, often referred to the Standard Railroad of the World. Its powerful and legendary locomotives were more than just engineering achievements. They were symbols of strength, reliability, and ambition. They connected cities, carried commerce, and represented a level of industrial advancement